Hi everybody, welcome to or back to my channel, MelCabeyVlogs. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Mel and I'm an actor who lives in New York City, and I post all about what it's like to be a musical theater performer and all the ins and outs of this industry. My credentials are I was on the national and international tour of a chorus line, I've done cruise ships and regional theaters, all of the above. So make sure you subscribe. Hey, so in 2026, I've been doing 2 videos a week, and if I have a really busy week, I do double vlogs. I vlog like first half of the week, second half of the week, but on more chill weeks, I will do a sit down video, which is this one right now. And then the other video, which will be posted on Sunday, will be a vlog. So today, I've been getting a lot of questions in my videos from you guys, asking a lot of specifics about Broadway auditions, theater auditions, and kind of like the terminology I've been using and what I mean by a lot of it. So today, we are going to cover the difference between Broadway auditions, appointments, and callbacks. And also regional theater, because it all kind of is the same. For Broadway, each show has to have an audition every 6 months. And that is a rule by Actors Equity, which is the union that protects the actors on Broadway and in regional theaters across the country. So, for example, let's take Wicked. Wicked on Broadway has to have their ECC, which is Equity Chorus Call, and their EPA, Equity Principal Audition, every 6 months, whether or not they are looking for people to fill those tracks. But they just have to do it because that way it prevents the companies just from like hiring people they know all the time and not giving new faces a chance at being seen. So that is kind of like the main, most well-known, most accessible way to be seen as an actor in New York. And if you want to learn more about like equity and non-equity, all of that stuff, I will link in the description videos I have that explain that. But I'm an equity actor, so everything I am going to be saying in this video is from that lens, just so you know. Then at these ECCs, most of the time you go, you learn the same combo, it is super quick, and they don't make any cuts, which means a lot of times for other auditions, if you do the dance combo, then the casting director will put headshots in different piles and they will read out headshots of people they want to stay. And usually you will do more dancing or you'll sing. But I would say 98% of ECCs, they don't do cuts because they're not really looking. If they happen to be looking, or if, they're just keeping their eyes peeled, what the reason why we go to these ECCs and what we're hoping for is that they will take our headshot and put it aside for when appointments will be happening. Now, what is an appointment? Wouldn't that be the same thing as a callback? Yes and no. So we're gonna use Wicked as like our show for this video. So say Wicked has 2 female ensemble tracks opening up because 2 female ensemble girls are leaving. So they have 2 parts that are opening up in the ensemble. They will then put out a breakdown, which is basically like, I'll give an example. Dancers between 5'5" and 5'7" to be in the ensemble of Wicked must have great ballet and jazz technique and must dance on point and must have great voice. I don't know, I made that up. But they send out a breakdown kind of giving the general idea of what they're looking for. Agents get these breakdowns. Agents will then submit their clients that fit that breakdown to the casting director to then hopefully secure an appointment for their client. So what agents are submitting is your headshot, resume, and usually dance reel and a vocal reel. And then casting is reviewing all of this and then they choose people for appointments. Another way to get an appointment, say you don't have an agent or your agent didn't submit you for that. Sometimes if you go to the ECC and they liked you, they'll put your headshot aside and they will send you an appointment for the next time they're actually casting. I have had that happen to friends before, so that's a thing as well. There's kind of like the two ways to get an appointment. Or if you know someone on the creative team and you're like, oh, I'd really love to be seen for Wicked, like next time there's appointments. Sometimes that happens as well. People who are on the creative team will bring in people that they know. So those are appointments, and getting an appointment is a very big and exciting deal because, again, it means that they're actually casting and you were specifically chosen to be considered for the show. Like, there was something about you that they chose and they wanted to see more of you. And that is a big deal. So now, callbacks. Completely different. Callbacks can happen in a lot of different ways, and it depends on what process you're going through, but let's pretend we're doing Wicked. So we're gonna have an imaginary scenario. Let's say I went to the ECC for Wicked, and 3 months later, I get an email and they're like, we would like to see you for an appointment for Wicked. And I'm like, oh my God, it's probably because I went to that ECC and they put my headshot aside. Great. So I show up to the appointment. I go, I dance. They make cuts throughout the day. There's probably like 60 other women there. They're making cuts. I make it to the end of the day. So then I'm like, oh my God, I hope I get a call back. So I made it through all the cuts every time they called out names. And then next week, I get an email and it's like, hey, call back. Here's material we're sending you. Maybe they'll send you some sides, which are scenes from the show. Maybe they'll send you some songs to learn. Maybe they'll tell you other things to prepare, and it'll go to the callback. For Broadway shows, everybody has a completely different journey. Like, I know friends of mine who went to a singular appointment day and made it through the end of the day, and then the next day found out they booked the show. And then on the other side of the spectrum, I have had friends who had an appointment and then they were in various callbacks for the show for months. And then they either don't get it or they get it. So sometimes it's really short, sometimes it's long, sometimes it's somewhere in the middle. You don't know. So now that's Broadway. And for regional theaters, it is honestly very similar. And regional theaters these days is honestly just as competitive as booking a Broadway show is, I believe. Because also, as someone who auditions for both things all the time, I literally one time saw a girl who was the understudy for Elphaba on Broadway at an equity chorus call audition for a regional theater doing like Guys and Dolls or something. I was like, wow, if the Elphaba understudy wants this regional theater job, like what? We all want any job that is available, basically. So anyway, that was a side tangent, but regional theaters, it'll be a similar thing, except most of the time for regional theaters, they will be doing either cuts at the ECC, or you should hear about callbacks within a few days of the ECC, because for regional theaters, they are actively casting that show. They come, this is like right now in January, February, March, it's audition season where a bunch of regional theaters from the whole country come to New York to audition, and they are casting their summer seasons or even their fall seasons. So they are looking for complete casts to hire. So those auditions can almost seem a lot more productive because they are actually looking. But then other than that, it'll be the same thing. A lot of times regional theaters, they'll do their ECCs and EPAs, but they'll also do appointments. And most of the time the appointments are what they're paying the most attention to. So securing an appointment for that regional theater is a huge deal because you're a step closer to getting the job. And then callbacks, usually, eventually, people who went to the appointment and people who went to the ECC will merge at callbacks. And then eventually you'll see, like, they'll tell you today's final callbacks, and you know, oh, I made it to finals. And you kind of get a gauge of like everybody who's in the mix and how the day goes. So that's the tea on all of that. I hope it makes sense. Please let me know if you have any other questions, and I could try to answer them in my weekly vlog as I continue the week, or maybe next week. So I hope that was helpful. And yeah, it's just a crazy industry and there's a lot to learn. I've been a professional actor in New York for 9 years now, so I get the gist of everything. Everything feels very second nature to me, and sometimes I forget what it was like to not know all of this. So I love to explain it all and put it all out there. So again, comments, let me know if you need anything else. Okay, that's it, and I will see you Sunday. Mwah! Bye.